If you've just gotten certified and you're setting up your website and looking to start marketing your coaching business, you've landed in the right place. I have more than 10 years experience working with new coaches and coaches who have been in business for a few years, but mostly new coaches. And I have a lot of tips for you. I used to have my own advertising agency. I used to be a web developer, and I also have 10 years experience in the business. What I'm going to tell you today is going to be very actionable. It's going to be based in reality, how the world and how marketing is working today. And it's going to set you up to actually pick the right strategy for you. Because I'm a big believer that all marketing strategies work. They're just not all going to work for any business in any business stage. So you need to find out what marketing strategy is going to work for you at the business stage you're in. And today we're going to talk about newly qualified coaches who want to start marketing their business and get clients as soon as possible. And I'm going to give you a reality check as well. So let's dive right in. So the first thing I always tell my clients is that if you're starting out, first of all, you're going to know who you're marketing to. You've heard this a gazillion times, so I'm not going to go into that. There are a lot of other videos on my channel you can search up and you can find other information about that. But when we come to actually marketing, so like I just mentioned, it's very important to align where you are in your business, your resources, your skills, and also your personality with the kind of marketing that you choose. What I see is that I meet a lot of coaches who have seen and done courses from marketing gurus, and they're like, I did it and it didn't work for me, or I did it and I burnt out and I couldn't sustain it, or I did the course and I didn't take action. And this tends to happen for a number of reasons. So, first of all, it's important to keep in mind your preference. So, if going online and doing video is something that is really stressful for you, don't start from that. So, keep these things in mind. But let's start off from the very basics. Okay. So, the first thing you need to do is you need to take a look at where you're at in business. And this video is for people who are starting out from scratch. So when you're starting from scratch, some people might have some assets and some people not. So some people might, maybe some of my clients, maybe they have a husband that has built their website, or they used to be in a technical job, work with a lot of people who maybe had a marketing job in the past. These are going to be skills and assets that you can work with. Some people maybe have an income from a part-time job, or maybe they're still in their full-time job and they have a little bit of money to invest in their business. So if you absolutely have no budget because you've already quit your job and you want to speed things up, then you're going to need to at least look at two strategies. So I always tell my clients, in order to begin marketing, you need to look to at least two strategies, possibly three, depending on how much time you have and what your current business looks like. So if you're working full time in your business, you need to look at three ways of attracting clients. A long-term marketing strategy. Usually I like to pick organic SEO because that is something that is going to really help you. It's going to help you have a good online presence, and it's also going to help you attract people to your website. Now, I know that you've probably heard that SEO takes a while to work, and it does. It can take anything between 4 and 8 months to actually start seeing your traffic grow and start getting leads. So it does take a little bit of time. But you can also have local SEO, and local SEO works a lot faster. It takes weeks, not months. So literally within 3 to 4 weeks to maybe 5 weeks, you can see your visibility really rise in your area. You can come up for your Google searches. That is probably the most cost-effective marketing you can do in the short term. Then what you can do is you can actually have paid advertising on Google, but you're going to need a budget for this. And in fact, a lot of my clients, because they have already quit their job, they don't have very high prices to begin with, because when you run Google ads, it's going to cost you between $200 and $300 per client. If you don't have very high prices to begin with or very big packages to sell, it can be a little bit tricky to actually make it work and make it worthwhile. Because, of course, you also need to experiment and explore in the beginning to find out how you can convert at the best rates. So those are the two main things. Now, why am I suggesting these two things? Because they're going to give you the highest quality leads. And in the beginning, especially as you learn how to sell, you need to have people who are very well aligned with what you're selling and the benefits and the struggles that you help with. Generally, going for Google or also LLM, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, having visibility on these platforms is going to be very important. This is something I teach. If you're interested in being visible on all of these platforms, just subscribe to the channel because I will be posting a lot more content about that. But basically, what I'm saying is that you're going to need this visibility on these on Google and ChatGPT and so on, because people are going to be driven by their struggle or by their desire for a particular outcome that you provide. And that is what's going to make them a much higher quality lead. Social media is very volume hungry. So what tends to happen is that, first of all, a complete stranger on social media is going to take about 9 months to actually make an inquiry. You probably noticed if you've tried this. First, you get crickets. People are there. People are watching. They take months to actually start engaging with you. They take months to actually reach out to you and be interested in what you're selling. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it's not going to be any faster than SEO, and it's going to be much more content intensive. So what I like to do is, especially with AI, what I like to do is actually suggest to my clients, and my clients have been actually getting success much faster doing this. The ones that want to do video, and again, this, like I mentioned, is a personality decision. So you can be visible organically just by doing blog posts, and that has the lowest barrier to entry. So if you're going to start off and you're feeling overwhelmed, I suggest you start off with blogging because it gives you a process to do every week, and you know exactly how many articles you need to do, how long they need to be, where to publish them, and everything, and how to SEO them. You have a step-by-step process, and you know what you're doing every week. It is not overwhelming. It will also give you core content that you can really use multi-purpose, repurpose for social media. So it solves all your visibility problems. But if you're the kind of person that can also do video, it's fantastic, because if you do video, what you can do then is, with AI, you can go from video to transcript. You do not go directly to ChatGPT or writing tools and tell them to write your article for you. But one thing I'm teaching my clients is how to create GPT, so how to create these automations that will actually give you 100% human written content from your video. And then you can use that to repurpose as well on social media. Your video can be broken up again by AI tools into 10, 12 different reels, which can also be used as YouTube shorts and can also be used on TikTok. So the amount of repurposing you can do with AI, my marketing strategy that I use today used to take me 2 days a week years ago. Now with AI, I can do it in just a few hours, literally less than a day, and like maybe half a day. I can do what I used to do in a couple of days. And you always had lagging tasks, because when you outsourced something, you always have to wait for that person to do the work and then get back to you. So you also don't have the time issue of having to wait for people to get back to you. However, getting back to our core idea, it's important that you pick the process that you can work with. So it's a very good idea to start with blogging, because it's going to give you social media content and it's going to give you traffic to your website. And you can start with local and then build on the international SEO by having the right categories on your website and working with someone who can help you with keyword research. I highly recommend that you talk to me if you intend to go down this road, and I'll explain why. I don't want to say anything bad about SEO agency owners. I have a lot of friends of mine who are SEO agency owners, and I have a lot of respect for them. However, in the coaching industry, what tends to happen is that we are very struggle based, and we really need to know our ideal client well and research them properly. Otherwise, we're not going to find the right keywords. And what tends to happen is that a lot of agencies tend to dive into the keyword research and have a very technical approach to the process. And I feel that for coaches, in order to get really good results, we need to focus less on the traffic and more on the quality of the keywords. So it's a little bit of a different ball game for coaches. And actually, it's nice because it can speed things up. I was fully booked when I had 450 visits to my site every month. which in terms of SEO, if you say that to an SEO agency, or they're like, oh, that's nothing. I'm like, yes, but I am not looking for vanity numbers. I'm looking for actual income and reliable lead sources in my business. So to come back to what we were saying, once you have the basics and you're doing the blogging and you have your process, things are repurposed. They also go out to social media. People come to your site, they book your discovery call. Once that's okay, then if you want to, you can go to the next level, which is going to be podcast or video. If you want to be more discoverable, what this gives you is that then if you do a podcast, you're also discoverable in the podcast world and on the podcast platforms. And if you do videos, you're also discoverable on YouTube. And as you can see, what I'm suggesting is I'm always suggesting content that you put out there and stays there. I do not ever talk about social media as your core content because, first of all, that is for influencers, not coaches. And secondly, what tends to happen is that it's like every 48 hours, you got to start again because your content is just going to disappear. It's not discoverable anymore. The first step and the first thing we need to really worry about is being discoverable and organically findable on these platforms. Get your basics right, get used to the first process, no matter what you choose. If you prefer to do video only in the beginning, do video only. If you prefer to do blogging only, do blogging only. I don't suggest starting with a podcast because a podcast helps you warm up your leads. It's not very good as a first entry point. So definitely skip the podcast as the first thing, but you can either do video or blog. And then once you have your process ready, once you know you're producing weekly, once you know exactly what you're doing, then you can add a separate layer. And the next layer is going to be either paid. So if you want to speed things up, you can get the keywords that you're targeting organically and actually speed things up by paying for ads. What you can do as well is once you start seeing that your blogs and your content is ranking, you can actually very easily just drive more traffic to those. And this is, in fact, how I scaled my business. So in the beginning, I targeted the US with keywords and I built a business. Actually, I am based in Europe. So I am in Malta, small holiday island underneath Italy. I intentionally targeted the US with my keywords. I got most of my clients from the US and I had a full practice. So then what I did to scale my business was I would run the same keywords to the same blog post that I knew was already converting. So it was a complete no-brainer. I wasn't risking my money. Then I just ran it to different countries. So I'd run the same keyword to the same blog post, which was booking my discovery calls. And I'd do that to other time zones so that I could fill the time zones where I wasn't appearing organically. But this is something you can also do in the short term. So if you do have a budget and you do have an income, you can price your packages accordingly and then allocate a budget to get the ball rolling with actually getting clients. There are people who go directly for ads and completely skip the organic as well. The biggest problem is that you're going to have a much more resilient business if you can do both. So if you can do both ads and organic, your business is going to be much more resilient and it's going to have much lower costs if you also have organic leads, especially if they come from a high value source. I did not do a lot of social media in the last couple of years, I will admit, but I am beginning to ramp things up again. For the previous 8 years, I was doing lots and lots of social media as well as my organic stuff. And lots of people say, why do you do that? First of all, as part of your visibility, as part of your SEO, it's important to also have the social media. I always treated it as a repurposing platform. So I was not banking on getting leads from social media. My goal was to be present because if you just have a website and you just do SEO, then you can look like a little bit of a spammer because real people are out there on social media. So it's important to have your social media presence, but you don't have to put a lot of work into it, especially now that we have AI. And it's one of those things. One of the things I used to do as well sometimes, which works out really nice and cheap, actually, is once you have your blog posts and your content pieces that you know convert, you can actually drive traffic through them through social media. Now, you're not going to get leads that are as ready to buy as when you go to Google, but you're going to get cheaper ones. So you might actually find out that they work out at a similar price, sometimes even cheaper on social media. But what matters with social media is that you already know that the page you're advertising to converts. Because otherwise, if you're driving weak leads to a page you're not sure converts, It's going to take quite a bit of investment, and it's perfectly possible, but it's going to take quite a bit of investment to actually come to a funnel that's going to work for you. Okay, so I'm going to leave you there for now. I could keep going on, but I just wanted to give you a couple of warning signs because very important. You're going to see a lot of people out there telling you to grow your list. It is not important to grow your list in your first year of business. It is important to actually find a way of getting money through the door, of getting clients through the door. You want visibility, especially in places when people are already looking for people like you. And one thing I highly recommend, if you have quit your job and you need to make money as soon as possible, have yet another source of income. So you need two sources of leads online. We're talking long term and short term. And then you want to look at an offline source. So you want to go to networking events and, if possible, create a corporate package. If you're a yoga instructor, you could do free wellness talks for large corporates. And then off the back of that, you can actually sell packages to HR where people are coming into your programs. The company pays and you have programs. You can do this with, if you're a business coach, you can do it with any kind of coaching, really. And it's very important because it's going to make your business more resilient because it's going to align another source of income. And what it's going to do as well is it's going to give you a place where you can actually outreach to people. So these people are easy to find. This is not like regular marketing like we're doing online. This is not attractive marketing. You have a different kind of marketing, which is when you are going out to people. And by being visible, even just by doing these talks in businesses, if they don't hire you to do the corporate package, you have already reached a number of people that didn't know about you before. So you can get B2C clients as well. And this is very important because in business, the more lead sources you have, the more resilient your business will be. And I know that sometimes it can be hard to go out there and do things and to outreach. But if you really want to be successful in your coaching business, there are some skills and also certain things that you're going to have to do. I don't believe in sleazy selling. So I'm not saying be pushy, but it's all about creating the right package for the right people. And then it feels good to be able to put it out there because as a coach, you are going to be helping people. And you always need to think that if you don't put yourself out there enough, then you are actually stealing happiness from those people you could have really helped. You're actually stealing results from people who maybe if they'd met you, you would have been able to help them. And because you didn't want to really put yourself out there, you didn't end up having a coaching business that survived, and they didn't end up finding the results they would have had with someone who is as dedicated as you. So always think of it as a bit of a duty. You have the duty to actually go out there and be public because there are people out there that need you. And you need to be able to say the right things to help them understand as a coach why and how they need you. So go put yourself out there. If you have any questions or you want to book a discovery call with me, feel free. I'm going to put the link in the description in this video. And I look forward to talking to you if you want to talk to me. And I definitely look forward to seeing you again in the next video. So please subscribe and let me know in the comments if there's anything that you found really useful or anything that you feel is missing in this video. And I'll be very happy to create more content. So that's all from me today, and see you next time.